Okay, so I'm gonna try and show you like the best that I can. This camera's set up weird, but first off, you want to know the difference between knitting and crocheting. You said you didn't like gaps, so you want to know which one had less gaps. So that's knitting. Okay, so this, just to give you an example, I started this yesterday. This is a scarf. So with knitting, this is what it will look like with the very basic stitch. And when you pull it, you really can't see any gaps. So this is much tighter. However, with knitting, it's a little bit harder to correct mistakes and like to do like fancy designs and stuff. Like when you get better at it, it's a little bit more difficult. So I really don't suggest knitting for beginners, but if you really want to, this is what it looks like. And then for crocheting, this is crochet. This is a blanket I'm working on. So just to show you how that will look. So if you look at it just right now, like it doesn't look like there's any gaps in it, right? But if you pull it, you're gonna see gaps. So I mean, it does look just as tight as long as like you're not stretching it out, but just keep in mind like there are gaps, and like look, you can put your finger through it. With the knitting makes more like a fabric. So with knitting, like I can't put my finger through it. Hold on, let me show you again. Well, I mean, like you can see the tip of my finger, but I can't push it all the way through. And even when I pull it, you don't see gaps. So the first thing I'll show you, okay, I'll show you the crochet first, since I do think it's easier. Just so you know, I do not hold my needle the same way as everybody else. It just never worked for me. But the first way like that you start off is you want to make a slip knot. The slip knot you're going to do for both starting with crochet and starting with knitting. So basically how I do that is I just go like this, and I twist it, and then I bring my fingers through and I grab this piece and I just pull it through. And let me do that again because I'm out of the camera. My like little tripod is not the best here, so you know, you like that, you grab this piece and you pull it through and you get your slip knot, and you can kind of like adjust it. So with crocheting, I'll take this hook, put it through the hole, and then you just want to pull it to tighten it. Now remember, I do not hold my crochet hook the same as everybody else. So if you see it on like YouTube differently, that's why. So the first thing like you want to do is you want to make a chain stitch. And how you're going to do that is make sure the tail part is out here, because you don't want to crochet this. You're running the yarn really fast. You want to crochet the yarn that's coming from the roll. So basically, like I have the hook on here, the loop on here. So you're going to take this and you're going to wrap it around. Now this is the tricky part because the way I have this camera angled, but this right here, the hoop that's on the bottom, you're going to pull it up and over. So this way you're left with one hoop. And you're just going to keep doing that. Kind of doing this upside down too, so it's not the easiest right now. So I'll just do a couple real quick so you can just watch and see. Again, I don't hold this the normal way, so if you want to try and learn it the normal way, you can go to YouTube, but that way never worked for me, and I seem to get the same results as everybody else, so I don't really think it matters. So that's what it'll look like, you know, once you got a few chain stitches on there. To move up one, keep in mind whatever project you're doing, it's going to have like a required number of stitches. I'm not really doing a project right now, but you always want to make sure there's an extra one on the end. So like here, we'll just make like an extra one, because that's going to be the one that kind of gives you like the bump up. So like when it goes like this, it's going to give you that extra height. So to go up to the next row, what you're going to do is you're going to again wrap, or they call it yarn over in the books. You're going to yarn over on the needle, and you're going to go and you're going to skip that first stitch, and you're going to put it into the second loop. So you're going to end up with 3 loops on there. And then you're going to take it and you're going to yarn over again, and you're going to pull that very top hoop I'm going to pull it through the second one. I'm going to pull it through the third one. And then I'll pull it through the last one. Actually, I think I did that wrong. Hold on. Another thing I like about crocheting, it's a lot easier to pull out your mistakes and do them again. Let me just put a few extra on here because I didn't make a very long chain. Okay, so you're going to yarn over, and this is called a double crochet is what I'm doing. I don't know, it's the one I always go to. There are other ones, but so you remember, you're going in the second one, not the first one. So you're skipping that one. You're going to skip that one, and you're going to go into the second one. You're going to pull it down through the first two loops, so this way you're left with only two in the hook. Then you're going to yarn over again, and you're going to pull it down through those other two hoops, and that'll give you like your first double crochet. And then you're just going to do it again. Yarn over, and then you just go right into the next hoop. You don't have to skip on this one. Yarn over again, pull it down through those first two hoops, and then pull it down through the third hoop again. Yarn over, put it through the next hole, pull it through the first two hoops. Sorry, it's a little awkward because I'm doing this upside down. And then pull it down through the third hoops. And you'll keep going, and it will eventually look like that. Let me grab this other thing so it's easier to show you on this that I already have going. With crocheting, it's easier to like make different effects. So it's like with this blanket, if you look, you see how I have lines, these lines in between the rows. I like how that looks. So the way I achieve that is by I'm only going in like just like the top loop of a stitch. So like you see how the stitches look on top here, right here and right here and right here. So what I'll do is, to get that line, I'll only go through like the top loop of that stitch. And then I'll just pull it down the same way. Now if you don't like the lines going through it, what you would do, and this will be really good too because it will show you how easy it is to correct like a mistake in crocheting. But what you would, why am I all tangled? Like what you would do to get rid of the lines is, instead of going through the middle in here, you would just go through the whole thing like that, and then continue as normal. But see, it takes away the line, versus how this one creates a line, this takes away the line. So like that's the difference. And then just to show you how easy it is to take out a mistake with crochet, all you do is take your hook out of the loop and just pull it until you're back to where you wanted to be, and just stick your hook right back in and continue onward. And it's that simple. Now, I can show you the knitting real quick. If you have like questions like after this, I can try and refilm it because I'm not the best at filming these videos, but so we'll just pull out the crochet one real quick. So knitting's a little bit different. You're going to do the slip knot the same way I just showed you. Remember, you still got a tail. You're going to take one needle and you're going to pull the tail apart to make it tight. And then basically you just got this going on. So then you'll take, Ollie, stop. The first row with knitting is always a little harder. What you're going to do is you're going to stick the needle so they look like this. You're going to just basically stick it through that loop so it looks like this. And again, I'm kind of doing this upside down for the sake of showing you. But to cast on, that's what they're going to call this in knitting, to cast on. You're going to take the yarn that's coming from the roll, never use the tail, and you're going to put it right over that bottom needle like this. And you're just going to pull the needle down and grab that loop, pull it up, and pull it over. Now with knitting, as you go along, it's going to increase. You're going to have more and more loops going on. So you'll go and you'll just take the second one. Again, the first row is always the hardest because it's a little bit tight. Push it through the loop. Take the yarn and put it over the needle. And basically all you're doing is you're just using the needle to kind of like grab that yarn and push it up and pull it through. I wish you lived closer because it's a lot easier to show people this in person. This camera shit sucks, but whatever. Again, you're just going to keep doing that, pulling it up, putting it on, and just pulling it tight. And as you notice, as we go along, like I have 4 loops on there already. And that's just what you're going to keep doing. Obviously, I'm not making like a whole thing. So just for argument's sake, I'll show you how to put it onto the next needle and how you start like building it up. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to do the same thing. Just stick the needle right through the loop. And you're going to, wrap around the same way you just did and pull it up. But this time, you're not going to stretch it out like that. Instead, you're going to push this up like this, and you're going to pull it off so that this way it goes onto this needle. And you're just going to keep doing that the whole way up. This is just regular knitting. This is not purling or anything. This is the most basic of knitting. Pull it up and off. Pull it up and off. That's all we're doing. And like you just keep going like that. And it's pretty simple. Knitting, I do think, is faster than crocheting, but knitting also gets more complicated, especially when it comes to designs, and especially when it comes to fixing mistakes. Fixing mistakes with knitting is a pain in the ass. So now you're going to have one needle empty and one that looks like this. But if you can see, the row is starting to form, and this is going to keep growing. So you can actually pull, once you get to the second row, you can pull this knot tight because that's not going to matter anymore. So then you're just going to start the same way you just did. You're going to, yeah, that's another thing I recommend. If you're new to knitting, do not get metal needles. This is a little bit awkward for me, so I guess I'm doing it upside down. But metal needles, they slip everywhere. Oops, what am I doing here? So basically, again, I'm just pulling it up and off. I prefer like the bamboo ones, they don't slip as much. But this is all you're doing. Knitting is very simple. It's just once you make a mistake, that's the problem, and designs get more difficult. Versus crocheting, where you can kind of just make shit up as you go. Actually, with crocheting, I made a lot of shit up, so it kind of works. There you go. Like, now we have like 2 rows done, and see how this is growing.